Hey guys, it's Milo, and recently a company called EpoMaker sent me a 60% keyboard. It's called the sk64s, and it's Bluetooth. It has PBT keycaps. It even has arrow keys and optical switches. So this thing is really packed with features, and I think it's like the budget competitor to the new Razer 60% keyboard. And I would like to point out that I did get this keyboard for free, but I'm still sharing my honest opinions, and if there's any issues with this keyboard, then I will say them. The first thing that I'd like to talk about is the unboxing experience. So this thing comes in a generic white box, and inside of it you'll find a few extra keycaps for Mac users. You'll find a braided USB-C cable that is gold plated. It's actually very nice for the price point. And you'll also find a plastic keycap puller and a metal switch puller, which shows that this thing is actually hot swappable. This also comes with a guide, and that will show how to operate the RGB, the Bluetooth, and all sorts of macros and functions that you might need to know. The sk64s comes in two main colorways, either white and gray or dark gray and black. I chose the black version because I wanted some variety, but this thing also has an updated case from the sk61, so it's a bit thicker and higher profile. It's still plastic, but it feels very rigid. There's no flex at all, and part of that is because of the aluminum plate in the inside. And this plate is white, and that actually reflects the RGB more, so it looks a bit more vivid and bright. That's pretty cool. And the only real downside to this case that I'm aware of is that it doesn't have rubber flip-out feet. That's not really a problem for me because I find the angle of this keyboard to be very comfortable. It also takes USB-C, and the port is on the right of the keyboard. It's slightly indented, but it's pretty wide, so most cables will be compatible with this. The stock keycaps on this keyboard are actually very thick. They're about 1.5 millimeters thick. They're PBT, so they won't shine over time, and they're very durable. And also they have dye sub legends, so they won't fade over time. And they actually are very consistent, as I can tell. They aren't as crisp and clean as double shot would be, but they do look very nice. It's also really cool that these are two-tone keycaps because most stock keyboards only have like a flat white or black color. This thing comes in either gray or white and black and dark gray, as I said. And it also has two accent keys on it, and that really just ties it together and makes it look real nice. The only thing that I don't like about the keycaps are the profile of it. They're DSA profile, which means that they aren't sculpted and they're just flat for each level. But that may just be because I'm a terrible typist and I haven't gotten used to this profile yet. So I'm guessing most of you guys will definitely like these keycaps. When you're going to buy this keyboard from EpoMaker, there's three switch options. You know, the standard red, brown, and blue switch. But these are Gateron optical hot swap switches. And because these are optical, they are pretty similar in terms of speed with the Razer keyboard. I haven't felt the Razer keyboard yet, but these switches are very smooth, and they have a slightly shorter travel distance than the standard Cherry MX switches. And in my opinion, Cherry MX switches are actually very scratchy, and these things are so smooth compared to them, so even though this is a budget keyboard, it honestly feels like it could be about $100 or like $110, especially since it's Bluetooth. And this keyboard is hot swappable, but it doesn't have the normal design as Cherry MX switches, so you can't swap this with a standard metal contact switch. It has to be a Gateron optical switch. But on this website called ePathBuy, you can buy Gateron optical switches, and there's more options. For example, there's yellows, there's blacks, there's, browns, blues, silvers, all sorts of different switches, and they're very cheap too. They're about $13 for a set of 70. So if you do want to switch it out, then you do have the option to do so. The stabilizers on this keyboard are plate mount and they're looped. They are not genuine Cherry stabilizers though, so they are slightly rattly. I would say that the stabilizers on this keyboard are a slight downside, and it actually doesn't support PCB mount screw-in stabilizers either. So the only real option is to buy genuine Cherry stabilizers or to Band-Aid mod them. But if I were to be completely honest, these are pretty fine, and they're basically on par with many popular boards like Corsair, Razer, and all those other brands. If you buy the sk64S version, then you will have Bluetooth, and I've only used the Bluetooth a little bit, but I didn't find any connection issues or latency. And I'm not exactly sure how long the battery lasts, but from other YouTubers I did hear that it lasts kind of long. I'm not going to give any specifics though, because I honestly have no clue. If you do want a bigger battery though, you could actually mod this and buy a cheap bigger battery on AliExpress, and it would last a bit longer. I don't really find a need to do this though, because this keyboard will definitely last more than a few days. And to control the Bluetooth, it's all done on the function layer, and everything is explained on the manual. The RGB on this keyboard is very bright and vibrant. The keycaps are not shine through though, so it's not as bright as you might expect it to be, but it's definitely bright enough in my opinion. There's also many different profiles that you can access through the function layer, and you can also adjust the brightness through the function layer as well. But if you do want to make your own RGB profiles, then you will have to do that in the software. And the software is complete garbage. It's really hard to use and it doesn't really make sense. And I actually wouldn't recommend installing the software, because this keyboard does have a microphone on it. And this microphone is supposedly to make the RGB respond differently on this certain mode. But in my opinion, it just seems like it's spyware, so I wouldn't download the software if you don't need it. And yeah, the software is definitely a downside of this keyboard. But the Chinese government's also spying on us through TikTok, so if you have TikTok on your phone, then you might as well just install the software. I'm going to talk about modding real quick, because this is a budget keyboard and it has a lot of potential for modding. So the first thing that I'm going to do is put sound dampening material inside of it, because when typing it sounds a tiny bit hollow. So for sound dampening material, you can use foam or a paper napkin or a cloth napkin, anything that really just absorbs sound. You can also band-aid mod the stabilizers. I talked about that a bit earlier, and that is just to make them rattle a bit less. You can also lube the stabilizers and clip them so that the prongs don't hit the PCB and make extra noise. You can also lube the switches, which you should probably do if you buy the linear ones, but I don't really recommend lubing the browns or the blues, because it will significantly lose tactility. You could also take the keycaps, the switches, the PCB, and the plate and put it inside of an aluminum case keyboard, and then you'll basically have an aluminum optical keyboard, which would be really sick. In conclusion, this is a great keyboard, especially for the price point. This goes for around $85, and it has Bluetooth, it has great keycaps, it has mediocre stabilizers, but really bright and vibrant RGB, and great switches. There's not really anything that's wrong with this keyboard besides the stabilizers and the software. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video, so feel free to like and subscribe. It means a lot to me. And peace out, guys. Thank you for watching.